All right, let's move to the Minnesota Vikings because we had Kevin O'Connell, Vikings head coach, come out and say this after the loss. By the way, a lot of teams, 6 teams on week 13 buys. You guys prefer a week 13 buy or like a week 5 buy or like something nice in the middle?
Want that late buy?
Whoa, no chance.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you want it in the middle, but I'd rather have it late than early.
Yeah, right.
I agree with that. It depends on how the schedule plays out. If you have an early bye and then you've got that Thursday night game like later in the season, you'd much rather that be swapped, right? Like you want an early Thursday night where you get the little longer weekend and then you get the late bye. Because when you switch it up, like you get the bye too early, it doesn't really help you. And then you get that late, especially if it's on the road, short week game.
You feel terrible.
It's
what's the most entertaining thing y'all ever did on the bye week that you can legally tell us about? Like, would you fly like?
I remember I flew to Carolina to see my wife, then my girlfriend, who tore Achilles when she was in World Championships. She literally flew from Japan straight to Carolina to get operated on by Dr. Robert Anderson. And I literally flew from
Charlotte
for the surgery. Yeah. Or excuse me, Charlotte. Yeah. What am I saying? I literally look at you and I just think Carolina. I don't know why.
I was like, this Dr. Robert Brinson operated on her and frankly really screwed her up.
The funny thing is he's actually now in Green Bay because I saw him for my ankle.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. He moved back up there. So anyway, he's like the best. That's who everyone goes to. That's how I got consulted with for my foot.
He is to feet what Dr. James Andrews is to ACLs.
That's correct. That's how he's looked at for foot and ankle. So, and I mean, that was like probably the most entertaining thing I've ever done over the course of a bye, which isn't saying much. And I do remember at that time, like people give me flack for doing that. I was like, well, what else would you expect me to do? You know,
you're not supposed to have life. It's all football, Brady.
That's right. That's right.
I thought you'd be watching movies with your parents or something like.
I just went back. I just went back home. I never really did anything. I know some guys that have went to like the islands or Mexico. I just always nervous about getting back on time, especially if you had a bye like in November, December with all the weather issues, especially flying up to New York. I was like, I ain't want to chance that. So
remember when the Cowboys had a bye in the playoffs and our colleague Tony Romo and Jason Witten, and at that time Tony Romo was dating Jessica Simpson, and they went down to like the Caribbean. They went to Cabo, and then Romo dropped the hold on the field goal or the extra point against the Seahawks, and they lose. Everybody's like, it's because he was in Cabo with Jason Witten.
He was getting Cabo Wabo. He was still thinking about what he
he wasn't focused.
Jessica Simpson got him drunk and took away. It's like, what are we doing here? If this guy played for any other team, nobody would care except maybe the Giants.
That is one of the biggest misnomers, I think, as far as like players. Like I know guys who like would break curfew, go out before the night before the game. They come in a ball. Like
exactly.
like they could do that. Like I could not do that. I was not that guy. So
I mean, Lawrence Taylor won MVP as a defensive player, and he was like apparently on all kinds of stuff the entire time.
Some guys like that was just how they live. That's the vibe they need to get in. You know, like and I don't. You know, it is what it is. As long as they do what they were supposed to do when they got out there and they performed, you can't really say anything about it. So. Well, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna worry.
All right, so anyway, I derailed that with like the bye week and the stuff talk, but like the Vikings are on their bye, and Josh Dobbs is
might be on a permanent bye.
Yeah, do you think he?
Okay, can we go back? Can I ask this question?
Yeah,
like what? 3 of the interceptions were tipped. I know, like everyone made a big deal about it, but I was like, come on, man. Like
I would say 1.
Oh, it was more than that.
Well, one went right through Addison's hands. One went right through his hands. Yeah,
the one got tipped at the line of scrimmage. Like it was more than
one to the flat. There was no excuse for that one. That was
the bad one. That was the bad one. Yeah. But it's like everyone made a big deal about him. I'm going, hold on a second. The guy just got there. Like, does he get no? Well, I mean, no room for error.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? And they put you on a pedestal, and they can't wait to knock you off. And that's the thing. Like when he came there, we can talk about this, Brady. You know this when. You don't have film on a guy can tend to have success, right? First couple of weeks, he's just out there playing free. I think the last 2 weeks, guys have kind of seen him in the Vikings uniform for a few weeks. They kind of know how to plan against him. To your point, tip balls, you can't really do anything. Those change games, as we saw in that game last week versus Chicago Bears. But if we go back, I think it was the Denver Broncos too. A couple questionable throws in that game as well. And the thing is, people just, it was like the Cinderella story with Josh Dobbs, right? And I think people tend to forget. Yes, he was winning a few games, but let's not forget at Arizona. Like he started off hot, but then was having a turnover issue there too, right? And I think it says something that a team not only traded for you, but they were willing to trade you again after trading for you. Now, again, Brady, anytime you get draft capital, you definitely want to do that, right? Because they did draft.
It's a little different, though. It's a little different because they knew Kyler was coming back, so they really only had to get through 1 week.
But he was coming off an ACL, so you don't think they'd want to keep Josh Dobbs just in case something happened?
No, I mean,
they drafted Clayton Tune, but still.
Yeah. I mean, I'd put it this way, like, I think he got them through a portion of the season. And look, we can say whatever we want about what happened after the first 4 games or so. He cooled off, but like the Arizona Cardinals offense didn't look as good this past week versus the Rams. Like they've kind of cooled off since Kyler's come back. So
yeah,
I would defend him in this sense. Like he's done something that I don't think any quarterback would ever want to.
Ever.
If you look at the success of the Tom Brady's and the Peyton, they played in one system their entire career.
Correct.
I mean, maybe with the exception of Peyton when he first got to Denver, or like the Kubiak year where they changed it up a little bit when they won the Super Bowl. But like, if you're going to have success, it helps to be in the same system your entire career. So you're not concerned about learning all the language and the nuances, how you're communicating it. It's about seeing what they're doing across the field from you. So he's been able to do a tremendous job of learning an offense, being able to go out there and execute to a certain degree. And I think the tough part is like he's made some plays to help win them games. Like they're 2-2. Technically, I guess they're 1-2 because he didn't start. It was Hall.
He didn't start the one game.
Like my thing is, like we can keep looking at these breakdown and stats, but the truth of the matter is, like he's helped win them games. And look, maybe they can bring in Nick Mullins, whatever else. Like I think the logic for what they're going to try to do is this: if Jefferson's back, they know how big of a difference he can be as a wide receiver. So they want to make sure there's someone who's comfortable with the offense, is going to run the.
I think Brady froze up there a little bit, but he was saying that the comfort in terms of the like running the offense. I also think too, when you look at like the Bears defense. Sorry, Brady, we lost you there for a second. But the Bears defense has been playing pretty well the last couple of weeks. Montez Sweat, nice addition. They've gotten they're much better at rushing the passer. They've been good against the run for most of the year.
Really good against the run.
Really good against the run.
They might be the best in the league against the run.
Yeah, and I think too, like you look at what Minnesota did late in that game. Yeah. Kevin O'Connell got really conservative on offense at the end.
That pissed me off.
And then Brian Flores didn't even blitz.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, look, it's like despite how he played, they still had a chance to win. And I think the point I was going to make was, Justin Jefferson's one of the best players in the NFL. So if you've got him and he's back, you want to utilize him. And they know that every time they go out to play, how teams play him is largely going to dictate what they're going to do offensively. So you want to make sure that you've got a guy back there at quarterback who understands the offense, knows how to get him the ball, is going to run exactly how Kevin O'Connell wants. I mean, I think what was the touchdown where Dobbs kind of scrambled out to the left and like jumped into the end zone. I remember seeing on the TV copy, you saw Kevin O'Connell just kind of go,
pretty much.
but it wasn't how it was supposed to be run.
Correct.
And I think as a play caller, especially one of the better ones in the league, like Kevin O'Connell is, you're going to go back and watch that tape and go, man, there's plays we're leaving out there. Yeah. And unfortunately, like he's not going to be able to come along fast enough to execute the way we'd like him to. And they didn't have Mullins earlier, so they had to go to Hall. Now they do have Mullins. So if that's the move they make, like I guess you can understand it because they traded for Mullins too. But I think Dobbs has done a heck of a job, man. And he helps make some things go right for sure.
Well, you talked about this, right? I mean, learning 3 different offenses, especially at the quarterback position, is unheard of. And to do it, Brady, not even in a full calendar year, like that's unheard of for him to do that. And another point that you really made, even though he struggled throughout that game, he still gave them an opportunity to win at the end, right? He took the lead back. And then to your point, Will, I was screaming at the TV. Like you throw a screen pass on 3rd and 7. Like my thing is the dude's already thrown for a pick. So I get you maybe being conservative, but if you have a chance to end the game in regulation, give him something easy, some rub routes, give him something over the middle of the field, right, Brady? Like for you to, I felt like Luke Getsy took the play calling over for Kevin O'Connell in that scenario and had that play call dialed up. Cause I'm like, Luke Getsy threw about 30 screens in that game for Justin Fields. And it was awful. I just didn't see Kevin O'Connell making that same mistake. He did, and it ultimately cost him because Justin Fields made a big throw over the middle to DJ Moore and essentially won the game.
Ripped that thing too.
Yeah, so my thing is, I'm with you, Brady. I do think the Cinderella story is over, but I do think Josh Dobbs gives them an opportunity to compete, to maybe try to backdoor their way into the playoffs if they decide to stick with him. I just think that Kevin O'Connell could have helped them a little bit at the end because, to your point, when we talked about when Ken Dorsey got fired, right? If they don't have 12 men on the field, does Ken Dorsey get fired? If Josh Dobbs completes a pass over the middle of the field on 3rd and 7 and they get a first down and win the game, are we talking about Josh Dobbs being benched? No. So, I think the play caller could have helped him in that scenario.
I will say this, though, in defense of any coach, if you do get a win and you still look at yourself critically in the mirror and you think you can improve and you make a change, whether it's with a coach or player, like that to me is like the utmost. I think self-awareness.
Oh, for sure.
All that. Yeah. I have a lot more respect for guys who aren't going to use the result, all right, as a means for how they're going to make a decision. They're going to look at the entire process and be like, look, we just feel like this gives us the best chance to win. And hopefully that's what this is about. And again, Josh Dobbs has been the best story to me the entire season. He should win comeback player of the year. Yeah, now, the only person that could throw a wrench in that is if Rodgers goes back.
Rodgers. Oh.